Family. The one place you're supposed to feel safe. The people you're supposed to trust with your last breath. But what happens when the very person you share blood with betrays you in the most ruthless way? This is not just a story about money. It's a story about betrayal, obsession, and the terrible price of greed. It all began the day I received a text message from my bank, an alert that nearly knocked the air out of my lungs. $19,000. Gone. Spent in one reckless sweep. The card was mine, but the thief? She wasn't a stranger. She was my sister. My name is Kelechi, a 32-year-old accountant living in Lagos. I've always been careful with money, not because I'm stingy, but because I know what it's like to grow up with nothing. My parents struggled, and I learned early on that every naira had to be accounted for. My younger sister, Amara, was the complete opposite. She was 26, beautiful, outgoing, and loved the fast life. Expensive clothes, trips to fancy restaurants, and a circle of friends who worshipped appearances more than reality. I often warned her. Amara, one day, this lifestyle will catch up with you. You can't always expect miracles. She would laugh, toss her long braids over her shoulder, and reply, Kelechi, life is short. I want to enjoy it while I can. At first, I thought it was harmless. After all, she was my little sister. But I didn't realize how far her recklessness would go until that afternoon when my phone vibrated on my office desk. The text read, Debit alert, NGN 19 million equivalent, $19,000, charged to your card. I froze. My first thought was fraud. But when I called the bank, the details shook me. The charges were not random. They were from luxury boutiques in Victoria Island, places Amara often bragged about. I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as I clutched the phone. It couldn't be her. It couldn't, but deep down, I knew. When I got home that evening, I found Amara lounging in the living room, scrolling through her phone, a smug smile plastered on her face. Several shopping bags, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and Versace, sat proudly on the couch beside her. My heart pounded as I confronted her. Amara, where did you get all this? She didn't even flinch. Instead, she smirked. Relax, brother. I just borrowed your card. I'll pay you back. I nearly lost it. Borrow? $19,000? She said it as if she had picked a 5 naira note from my wallet. You what? I snapped. My voice was shaking, partly with anger, partly with disbelief. Amara rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Kelechi. You earn good money. You're always saving and investing, but for what? To die with it? Look at me, I can actually put it to use. That was the moment I realized something dark had taken root in her. It wasn't just recklessness anymore, it was entitlement. She believed she had a right to my sacrifices, my sweat, my discipline. I stormed out of the house that night, my chest burning with rage. I could have reported her to the police. I could have cancelled her card privileges immediately. But she was my sister. Blood. How do you destroy your own family? Yet, as I sat alone in my car under the streetlights, the betrayal sank deeper. She had crossed a line, and I couldn't let it slide. That night, an idea began to form in my mind. The next few days, I pretended nothing happened. I acted calm, even supportive. Amara thought she had gotten away with it. She flaunted her new outfits on Instagram, captioning them with quotes like "My time to shine sparkles" and "Luxury is my portion." But beneath my calm exterior, I was setting a trap. I knew Amara's weakness, her vanity, her obsession with showing off. She wanted the world to see her as wealthy, powerful, untouchable. And I planned to use that against her. I called a friend of mine, Obinna, who worked in a bank's fraud investigation department. I explained my situation. At first, he was hesitant. After all, it was a family issue, but when I told him the amount involved, his tone changed. Bro, this is serious. But are you sure you want to go down this road? It could destroy her. I closed my eyes, remembering her careless smirk, the way she dismissed my hard work as if it were nothing. She already destroyed us, Obina. I just want her to learn. And so, the plan began. I set up a dummy account and arranged for Amara to stumble upon an opportunity. A man, supposedly a wealthy businessman, wanted to partner with young, stylish influencers to promote his luxury products. All she had to do was provide a valid credit card for verification purposes, and she would be rewarded with contracts worth millions. I knew Amara. She would never resist. Sure enough, when I casually mentioned the opportunity to her one evening, her eyes lit up. Are you serious? Me? An influencer for a luxury brand? Kelechi, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. I hid my disgust. She didn't even ask for details, didn't question the legitimacy, her greed blinded her completely. Within days, she handed over not just my stolen card, but also her personal details, thinking she was on the brink of fame. What she didn't know was that every step was monitored, every detail logged. Then came the day of the big contract signing. She showed up in a rented car, dripping in borrowed jewelry, ready to claim her crown. But instead of fame, she was met by officials waiting to question her about fraudulent transactions linked to her name. Her world collapsed in a single moment. I wasn't there when they confronted her, but I heard later how she tried to talk her way out of it. She blamed hackers, she cried, she even mentioned my name, but the evidence was overwhelming. The $19,000 trail led straight to her, and her Instagram posts flaunting the luxury purchases became her own confession. That evening, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at my phone. I should have felt vindicated, maybe even satisfied. After all, my plan had worked, Amara had walked straight into the trap. But instead, I felt a heaviness in my chest. She was my sister. My blood. And I had just destroyed her. The next day, I went to visit her. She sat on the edge of her bed, her face pale, her phone buzzing endlessly with messages from friends who had abandoned her the moment the scandal broke. When she looked up at me, her eyes were filled not with remorse, but with hatred. "You set me up, didn't you?" she whispered. I froze. Her voice was low, almost trembling, but behind it was something darker. "You think you've won, Kelechi? You haven't seen anything yet. I'll make you regret this." And in that moment, I realized something chilling. Amara wasn't broken. She was enraged. And the war between us had just begun. The silence in Amara's room that night was heavier than any words she could have spoken. Her glare pierced through me, like a blade pressed against my skin. She had lost everything, her friends, her reputation, her so-called luxury lifestyle, and she knew I was the architect of her downfall. I wanted to tell her the truth, that I hadn't done it to destroy her but to save her from herself. Yet, looking at her, I realized she was too far gone. She didn't see my actions as tough love. To her, I was the enemy. The following days were unsettling. At first, Amara was quiet, almost withdrawn. She stopped posting on social media, avoided our neighbors, and barely left her room. But then, slowly, she began to change. I noticed money disappearing from my wallet. Emails from my office account were tampered with. Even my boss called me in one morning, frowning. "Kelechi, someone sent unauthorized requests from your email. Is everything okay?" My stomach dropped. Amara. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. Instead, she smirked, the same smug smile she had worn when she first stole my card. "You think you're smart, brother? I can ruin you too." Her words were a warning, and I knew she meant them. That night, as I lay awake in the darkness, I realized this was no longer about money. It was about power, about control. Amara wanted to show me that if she was going down, she would drag me with her. I started noticing little things. My car's tires mysteriously slashed. Strange rumors about me spreading in my workplace. Even anonymous calls at midnight, silent, eerie, as if someone was watching me. One evening, Obina called. "Kelechi, listen carefully. Your sister, she's in deeper trouble than you think. She tried to open another account using stolen credentials. If she continues like this, she won't just lose her freedom. She'll drag your name into it too." The warning chilled me to the bone. But here was the dilemma: should I protect her, knowing she wouldn't hesitate to destroy me? Or should I let her face the consequences, even if it meant watching my own blood go to prison? I couldn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, staring at the streetlights flickering in the humid Lagos air, listening to the sound of distant traffic. My thoughts twisted like shadows, memories of the little girl who used to follow me around with wide eyes, asking me to buy her sweets, clashing with the reality of the woman who now sought to ruin me. Amara wasn't just reckless anymore. She was dangerous. The real trap I had set was working. She had lost her fake friends, her reputation, and the illusion of wealth. But I underestimated one thing: when you corner a person consumed by greed, they don't surrender. They bite back. And as I stared into the night, I knew this battle wasn't over. It was only just beginning. The tension between Amara and me reached a boiling point. Our home, once filled with laughter and childhood memories, now felt like a battlefield. I could feel her plotting, watching me with sharp eyes, waiting for the moment to strike. It happened one rainy evening. I came home from work, drenched and exhausted, only to find two policemen waiting at my door. My heart sank instantly. "Mr. Kelechi?" one of them asked firmly. "Yes. You're under investigation for fraud linked to multiple accounts in your name. We'll need you to come with us." I froze. Fraud? Multiple accounts? My mind raced. This had Amara written all over it. She had used my personal details, everything she knew about me, to frame me. At the station, hours of questioning followed. Thankfully, I had Obina, my friend at the bank, who stepped in and provided evidence proving my innocence. The accounts, though under my name, were traced back to Amara's devices. My relief was overwhelming, but it was mixed with sorrow. When I got home, Amara was waiting. Her face was twisted with fury. "You think you're better than me because you caught me? You think you can humiliate me in front of the world?" she screamed, her voice breaking. I stared at her, my chest tight. "Amara, you did this to yourself. You stole, you lied, and you betrayed me. I tried to protect you, but you didn't want saving." Her eyes welled up with tears, but they weren't tears of remorse, they were tears of anger. "I'd rather burn everything than watch you stand above me," she spat before storming out of the house. That was the last time I saw Amara in our family home. Days later, news broke that she had been arrested again, this time for attempting to scam a businessman in Abuja. She was caught red-handed, and there was no escape. The same vanity and greed that had consumed her led her straight into her own ruin. When I visited her in prison, she refused to look at me. She sat on the cold bench, her once glamorous face now bare and hardened. I wanted to reach out, to remind her that she was my sister, that I still loved her despite everything. But her silence was louder than words. As I walked out of that place, the reality struck me: sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, you cannot save them from themselves. Amara's story spread like wildfire, the girl who threw her life away for luxury. Some mocked her, others pitied her, but for me, it was a scar I would carry forever. I learned something bitter but true: family is sacred, but trust is fragile. When broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. And sometimes, the most painful betrayal doesn't come from strangers, it comes from those you'd give your last breath for. I don't hate my sister. I pray she finds redemption one day. But I also know this: greed has no finish line. The more you chase it, the more it consumes you, until all that's left is emptiness. So, if you take anything from my story, let it be this: protect your values, protect your peace, and never let blind love make you ignore the poison growing in someone you care about. Because when greed becomes stronger than love, destruction is never far behind.